Hey everybody, thanks for coming fishing with me today. So you can see these two little dots there. The bottom is my jig and the top is a weight, and they're coming towards this group of fish that's laid up on this. There's one. Man, he came off there fast. It is early spring, and these fish, on the day I was out here, this was I think March 10th, early spring in Louisiana, North Louisiana. That's a big fish. There were a lot of big fish today, guys. So it's early spring, and these fish are in transition mode still. Look at that thing. Look at that. That is a 14-inch crappie. Look at that thing. That's a beast.
14-inch crappie.
Yeah, you hear me after I measure them. I have to measure them. This is Lake Darbonne. You can only keep 7 crappie that are 12 inches or bigger. And so I have to keep count of them to make sure I don't go over that limit. I hit it today. I hit the limit. So you can see these. You can see the jig coming towards this fish. This is an open water fish, just suspending out here. There it goes. Got it. And this is what I was targeting mostly today. Suspended fish or fish out in this deeper water. Look at this. It's a big fish. I can flip smaller fish, you know, like I'd say 10-inch and smaller, I can flip those. 11 and bigger, I tend to go for my net.
14-inch crappie.
And that's another 14-incher right there. Slab. Big fish. So that's really not what I wanted. I was actually looking around for smaller fish so that I could catch more, you know, because I was trying to get ready for a fish fry. And but I had a hard time finding the small fish today, and I wound up throwing back a lot of fish after I hit my 7 big ones. And oh look, watch this one. Watch this one. Yep, here he comes. There he is. Ooh. You can kind of gauge the size whenever you set that hook and you feel it's like a cinder block on the end of it and he doesn't move much. Yeah, you just know what you've got on the end of your pole. The smaller ones, you know, you can set that hook and they kind of start coming up whenever you do your hook set. Those big ones, nah, they don't move until you until you let some drag go out and kind of work them up. So, like I said, there was a lot of big fish today. My first few were just small. I think this is another 14.
Oh, that's another 14-inch crappie.
It's another 14-incher. So just the first 3, I was like, oh my goodness, I'm not going to be able to catch enough for the fish fry. Because 7 fish is not enough, right? I need to find the smaller fish so I can put some numbers in the ice chest. And so I started hunting around, going a little shallower and going on some timber, thinking that I might find smaller ones. And where I found them, watch this, right there. I figured out the smaller fish were staging a little shallower. And I'm sorry, not shallower. They were deeper. They were on the bottom or just off the bottom. And so that's a good eating size. That's like a 10-inch fish right there.
10-inchers, like.
Yeah. And so that's what I started looking for. But, I mean, you guys know how it is, right? You're fishermen. You see a giant mark sitting on timber. What are you going to do? You're going to have to target him, right? Here, watch. I kind of spooked this fish. But when I came up, he chased after it. Look, that fish came up a long way for that. That's a big fish. Look at him. He's fighting. He's not moving. He's just taking out drag right now. That's a big fish. But you know how it is. You see these big marks, and it's difficult not to just throw on them and target them, because you know how it is on those days where you can't find any, right? And so I wound up throwing so many fish back today because I just couldn't help myself but target these big fish, even though I was really looking for. Look at that.
This is 14-inch crappie number 4.
Number 4
of the day. 4 of them.
So that's the 4th
Can't find
14-inch crappie. I said I can't find the small ones. I hadn't figured it out yet. I didn't associate that fish being lower in the water, and so I hadn't figured it out in my head yet where they were. But I did not too long after this. I figured out, quit chasing after these giant marks that are suspended everywhere, because you're not going to get to keep many of them. And I figured out I needed to be going for the ones that are just off the bottom, or I found a cluster of them on some timber, and I chased after those. But these big suspended crappie were all over the place. If you had a boat full of people today, you could have taken home as many of these giant crappie as you wanted. Like, I mean, if you had, 4 or 5 people in the boat, everybody could have hit their limit today. Because I got out here afternoon. This was, I think it was 12:30 or something when I got on the water. I got started late. Look at that. This one, or maybe the previous one, wasn't as big. One of these was like an 11 and a half, but most of the ones I was catching, they were either 10 inches or smaller, or they were 13, 14 inch fish. There were not many of those medium sized fish anywhere. But yeah, if you had a boat full of people, everybody could have caught their 7 big ones today out here.
A 13-inch fish.
13 incher. Like I said, this is early spring on Lake Darbonne in North Louisiana. And so the fish, there are fish pushing in shallow right now, and they're going to keep getting more and more in the shallows, but, look at that one. But as this time of year, I generally start out in the deeper water and look for these that are suspended. They bite a little better, it seems like, and you can find them a little easier. Now, in 2 or 3 weeks, they're all going to be shallow, most of them, and so that's where you'll find them. But this early spring, you can sit out here on the edge of the channels in the deeper water.
14-inch crappie.
Another 14-incher.
Look at that joker.
This is probably the most big fish that I've caught in a long time this quickly. So I got them all within like an hour. Within an hour, I'd hit that limit of 7 fish. And I had to start throwing them back. I didn't put, I'm going to split this video up in a few, oh, here it goes. I'm dropping. That looks like a better size fish. Like that looks like a 10-incher. Because he's lower in the water too. Like I said, there he is. Yeah, you see how he started coming up whenever I set the hook? It's a smaller fish probably. And so I think it was after this one, or maybe the next smaller one, I figured out the smaller fish are staging a little bit lower today. So I needed to start going after the fish that were lower in the water column to
I want an ice chest.
I said, oh, no, those are too big. Look at those. Those are giant crappie. It's a school of big fish. And I can't remember if this is look at this. Just monsters. There he goes. Got him. Yeah, he didn't move at all when you set the hook though. That's you know what size that's gonna be. So I think this is the last fish on this video that I've put in here. I'm splitting this day up in a few parts. I'll release the rest of it on the next video, showing you'll basically almost get to see me cry. That's a good sized fish. I think it's a 12.5-inch fish here. Yeah.
That's the last of the big one. 12.5.
But I caught so many more big fish, and I started having to throw them back after this. So you'll see me be very sad the next video. I did catch a lot more smaller fish. Like I said, I figured out what I was doing wrong or what I wasn't doing to find them. And I started targeting those fish that were lower in the water column. And I wound up loading the ice chest down with a bunch of small fish too. Well, I hope this video was fun to watch, and I hope all of you guys out there are catching a lot of fish right now. It is prime time, and it's only going to get better from here until mid-April or May. So good luck out there, everybody, and I will see y'all again soon. Thanks, everybody.